If you're an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, is it time to panic? Are you panicking right now in Tuscaloosa? I don't know if you should. Final score was 17-3 yesterday. You went to USF. Yeah, you went to USF. Kind of a weird game to get scheduled. Nonetheless, found a way to win. Played two quarterbacks. Neither one looked great. Neither one looked great, and it was coming off a game where you would hope there was a little bit more of a sense of urgency after losing to Texas. What do we make of this? Is there trouble in Tuscaloosa? We'll unpack it. Make sure you're subscribed. Alabama fans, had a lot of y'all join the channel recently. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you here. Fired up to have you here, actually. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. 100% free. Would love to have you part of the program. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Pakel. A great way for me to hear from y'all and then take what we hear from y'all and involve it in the show. So thank you in advance for doing that. So here's the real question, man. Yeah, the final score was 17-3. Yeah, it didn't look pretty. Probably more to this than just this headline, but this is the headline that's going to dominate, so we got to talk about it either way. What's up at quarterback, man? What's up at quarterback? Tyler Buchner didn't look great. 5 for 14, 34 yards. He got the start. Ty Simpson came into the game. 5 for 9, 73 yards. He looked the best out of the two. Again, it was USF. My issue is now you've seen all three of your most viable options at quarterback between those two and Jalen Milroe, and you don't feel amazing about any of them. To take it a step further, you're not asking any three of these individuals to be Bryce Young from a year ago. This isn't last year's offense where you're saying, hey, we need you to go win us football games. We need you to go for 3 bills in the air, and that's how we're going to find a way to get it done, by you putting the team on your back. That's not the game plan here. The game plan is don't lose us the football game. Hand the ball off. Hit the open throw. Be efficient. We haven't seen that from these three yet. We haven't seen that. That's concerning. It'd be one thing if there was still a little bit of the unknown is undefeated factor, and maybe you're saying that right now with Dylan Lonergan. Again, I don't think he's the answer, but at this point, I don't know what you do. I don't think you panic, but I do think you have to ask some very real questions of, okay, what do we need to do to win? What do we need to do to win? In my opinion, to win games, you need to find a way to be two-dimensional. Because if you're a team that is not a threat to throw the football and running the football is all you're going to do, which they did yesterday to over 200 yards, we'll talk about that. But at that point, when you play the teams with more talent on their roster, they're going to stack the box. And when they stack the box and you can't throw after that, what happens? You get into a rock fight. You hope your defense can hold up. I hope the defense can hold up too, and I think the defense is solid. But the game against Texas shows us like that can't be what you count on. That's not a reliable formula to get to where you want to go. Bama's not just looking to win 9 games, 10 games. They expect to win the SEC and win national titles. It's the standard in Tuscaloosa. It's the standard Nick Saban has created there. So if it's me, honestly, you've seen all of them. I think the offense looked the best with Jalen Milroe. Now, to be fair, that's the largest sample size. Who's to say if you give Ty Simpson or Tyler Buchner a little bit more runway, they don't figure it out in a different capacity? That's possible. But to me, it is a little bit of a choice of, do you want to run the risk of A, being one-dimensional, or B, the Jalen Milroe experience where he may turn the football over? I may be in the minority here. I would rather go with the Jalen Milroe experience because we can manage Jalen Milroe, right? We can't manage an offense where our quarterback is just inefficient. Jalen Milroe, for all his faults, for all the interceptions he had against Texas that were bad, made a lot of plays to keep you in that football game as well. Made a lot of plays that kind of made your jaw drop and say, okay, yeah, it's a little bit of a trial and error experience, a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but dude's got some juice now. The offense, in my mind, had the most juice with Jalen Milroe playing quarterback. So what do? I think you edit down the game plan for him. Hey, we don't like this with him throwing the football in this kind of concept. Okay, let's take it out. Let's give him more quarterback design runs. Let's work a different quick game. Let's edit down the menu for him to make it as easy as possible to where he can just play ball and be special. I'm not saying you don't keep the same amount of complexities in there because he can handle those. I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying the interceptions we saw against Texas give you concern because they weren't fluky interceptions. They were interceptions where his eyes were in the wrong spot, where he made a bad decision. Okay, let's take that off his plate. Let's make it more simplistic, and let's allow him to do what he does. Because the offense, again, has the most juice with Jalen Milroe playing quarterback, from what I can tell. And so when you go forward, it's got to be a thing where you just commit wholeheartedly to one of these quarterbacks at some point in time. I'm not saying that time is today, but I do think that day is coming. And based on what we've seen so far, with the limited time you have left to decide on a quarterback wholeheartedly, I think you commit to the Jalen Milroe experience. You ride the highs, you try and limit the lows, and you go from there. Because here's the other thing that I would say, outside of the quarterback position, looking at yesterday's game, man, my biggest concern outside of the quarterback room is I didn't see an Alabama team with an agenda. And this was the spot for Alabama where you would hope there would be a little bit of that just get that bad taste out of our mouth kind of game. You lost at home against Texas. Didn't look pretty. Now you go play a team like USF where you're favored. I think it was somewhere over 30 points. Like, you're supposed to just drag this team. Where was my joyless murder ball? Where was my we're going to just take them for all they're worth kind of game? Because I think old Alabama, you would have seen more of that. And I don't think you want to fault this team completely for how they looked. But still, I mean, you ran the ball for 5 yards of carry. I understand that. Where's my finish? Where's my getting in the end zone? Where is my anaconda squeeze? Right? Like, that's what we've come to know from Bama. And so to not have that kind of sense of urgency in this kind of football game and a spot where you would hope that would be there, that concerns me. Where's the fire? Got to light the fire a little bit here for Bama. So the quarterback position is its own thing, but I think across the board, offensively at least, you got to look in the mirror and say, okay, do we have an identity? Do we have an attitude? We talk about it. There's a philosophy in place, but is it really there? I understand they were dinged up. I understand it wasn't perfect. I understand there were other circumstances. There was a weather delay. There was all that. You're on the road, weird game. I don't know why you're playing at USF, all of that. I understand. But for Alabama to not have that we're going to take this thing over kind of approach, a little bit concerning. I don't know if you're pressing the panic button yet, but a little bit concerning. As weird as it feels, like I was just saying, everything's still in front of Bama. We're talking about it like they lost the game. They won the football game. No such thing as a bad win. No bad win in college football. Wasn't an SEC game even. I mean, it's not like they're just out here probably throwing the entire playbook out against USF. Like, it's probably not the case. But when you play Ole Miss next week in Bryant-Denny, got to be dialed in. Got to be dialed in, because I believe that Ole Miss will force you to score points. So if that quarterback position isn't figured out in some capacity, you don't have some kind of approach there, some kind of game plan, not figured out, but some kind of approach there, things get a little bit dicey. So I can't wait to watch it. I'm not betting against Saban, but some concern for sure based on what we saw yesterday from Alabama against USF. Make sure you're subscribed. Follow me on the socials at JD Piquel, both on Twitter and on Instagram. Let me know what y'all think. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.